and abhorrent news. And just like so many of you, she was outraged. We were both outraged, and we knew we had to turn that anger into action. But we all still feel that rage today. I know I do. And I think about it. I have an 83-year-old mother, and we also have a 24-year-old daughter. So how is it possible that my mother will have enjoyed more rights than our daughter? That is simply unacceptable. Now we all knew, and all of you knew, you've been doing this work for so long, that the reversal of Roe would bring significant harm to many women and families. It's actually worse than we thought, what's actually happened. And we're going to hear some of these tragic, horrible stories tonight. And sadly, so many other women and families whose names and stories we don't know, they're all out there suffering as well, but they're suffering in silence, and that's not right. The Dobbs decision created a healthcare crisis. But it's beyond that. There's other far-reaching impacts, some less obvious than others. For instance, parents of high school kids all across the country have another thing to worry about in the college application process. Can I send my son or daughter to a school that's in a state like Texas or Florida, where there are outright abortion bans? What if something happens? Doctors are looking over their shoulders while they're trying to practice medicine, and in some cases leaving the states in which they originally wanted to practice and where their care is desperately needed. Reproductive freedom is not a woman's issue. It's an everyone's issue. The aftermath of the Dobbs decision reminded us that this attack on our freedoms goes beyond abortion. It called into question other rights that we hold dear. And they're not going to stop. What they're doing is immoral. What they're doing is wrong. We all need to stand up for the dignity and freedom of all Americans. Donald Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans have created this new reality where families are living in fear and doctors are worried about helping patients. This moment requires all of us, everyone, each and every one of us, to speak out in defense of reproductive freedom. And this moment also demands leaders who will fight to protect and reinstate a woman's right to choose. And luckily, we have those leaders. We have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They understand and care about the senseless pain that women in this country are suffering through. They understand the pain that our families across the country are going through because of this Dobbs decision and the horrible aftermath. And with so much on the line, our Vice President, my wife, she's traveling the country right now on her Fight for Reproductive Freedoms tour. And wasn't she awesome in Wisconsin yesterday? The American people are energized and ready to join her and President Biden on this epic fight of our lifetimes. As a father, as a husband, as a son, but also as a longtime lawyer who really cares about the rule of law, I know that everything's on the line. Our rights are on the line. Our futures are on the line. Our health and safety of our families are on the line. And that's why I'm going to be spending every day between now and November 5th doing everything that I can to re-elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And I know you will too. 4 more years. 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 I agree. We all got to do this together because we cannot stop. We cannot stop fighting until we restore Roe as the law of the land. And now it is my pleasure to introduce a fierce advocate for families and a true partner in this fight for our freedoms and our fight to restore Roe. My good friend, the First Lady of the United States, Dr. Jill Biden.
So I can't tell whether you have seats. If you have a seat and you want to sit, please. There we go. So thank you, Doug, for all that you are doing. You know, Joe and I are so grateful to have you and Kamala as partners and as friends. And isn't he the best second gentleman? And Doug, you're right. We need men in this fight, too. So thank you for your leadership. Reproductive freedom affects all of us, doesn't it? But there are extremists working harder than ever to drag us back to a past that we thought was long over. This afternoon, I want to tell you a story about something that happened a long time ago, but one that has really been on my mind recently with all that's been happening. A story that might not be unfamiliar to you. When I was in high school, one of my friends got pregnant. It was the late 60s, and abortion was illegal in Pennsylvania, where I grew up. To end the pregnancy, she told me her only recourse was to undergo a psychiatric evaluation to declare her mentally unfit before the doctor would perform the procedure. So I went to see her in the hospital, and then I cried the entire way home. When she was discharged, she couldn't go back to her house. So I gathered my courage, remember I was in high school, and I asked my mom, can she come stay with us? My mom didn't hesitate. Of course she can. And my mom never told a soul. In fact, we never spoke about it again. Secrecy, shame, silence, danger, even death. That's what defined that time for so many women. And because of Dobbs, that's where we're finding ourselves back again, refighting the battles we had fought and thought we had settled years ago. Last year at the White House, I met with a group of women who shared heartbreaking stories about what a post-Roe world looks like for them, about the terrifying lengths they had to go to just to get the care that they needed. Elizabeth, Anya, Nancy, Austin, They came from different backgrounds and states, Florida, Texas, Louisiana. However, the details of their experiences were similar. They wanted these pregnancies. For them, there was crib shopping and ultrasounds stuck to the fridge, and then a devastating diagnosis. Doctors who refused them care, pain and humiliation and deadly infections. They described being told that they were in medical danger, but not enough to get the abortions they needed. They talked about, being afraid to tell people what had happened, of feeling like a criminal as they fled their home state to get care, how their spouses felt helpless, terrified for their families. They recalled their stories with a stone-like strength, poised, practiced, but then I would see a memory flash across their eyes, as if they were back in the bathroom, waiting for the worst, or praying that they just make it to safety as they cross that state line. Their voices would crack. They'd pause to fight back the tears. We did not want this fight. We did not ask for this fight. But if fight we must, and we must, there is no one I'd rather have leading us than President Biden and Vice President Harris. In the wake of Dobbs, they are doing everything within their power to defend reproductive freedom and the rights of women. Because we will not let the extreme MAGA Republicans win this fight, will we? No! This will not be the legacy that we leave to our daughters and our granddaughters, will it? No! No. The choice this election is clear. Women put Joe and Kamala in the White House, and we will do it again. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for lending your voice and your power to this effort. And thank you for all that you are doing to re-elect this administration. And now it is my honor to introduce a leader who has been on the front lines of fighting for reproductive freedom, a leader who is traveling our country to elevate the voices of many women who are so impacted by this issue. A leader who is an inspiration to women and girls everywhere. Our Vice President, Kamala Harris.
States of America. Thank you, Dr. Biden. Thank you, Jill. She's been traveling. She's really been traveling, and I can't thank you enough for your friendship and your leadership. And I have to say about our First Lady, just as she left the stage, she has been an unwavering champion for the women and families of our nation, excuse me. I see her when the cameras are on and when they're off, and she's an extraordinary leader on so many levels. So again, to Dr. Jill Biden, thank you very much. Please have a seat if you'd like. And to my husband, the first Second Gentleman of the United States, Doug Emhoff. And of course, I always thank him for standing with the women of America and for the people. And of course, our President, Joe Biden, who's going to take the stage very shortly, who, as we all know, which is why we are here together, we have in Joe Biden a courageous fighter for our most fundamental freedoms as Americans, including, of course, the freedom to make decisions about one's own body and not have their government tell them what they're supposed to do. And of course, today, that freedom is under profound threat. We all know 19 months ago, the highest court in our land, the Court of Thurgood and RBG, took a constitutional right from the people of America, from the women of America. And in the 19 months since, in states across our nation, extremists have proposed and passed laws that criminalize doctors and punish women. Laws that make no exception even for rape and incest. And let us all agree, one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. If she chooses, she will consult with her pastor, her priest, her rabbi, her imam, but it should not be the government telling her what they think is in her best interest. And note, while these extremists say they are motivated by the health and the well-being of the women and children of America, in reality, they ignore the crisis of maternal mortality. The top 10 states in our country with the highest rates of maternal mortality all have abortion bans. The hypocrisy abounds. And so this is, in fact, a healthcare crisis. And there is nothing about this moment that is hypothetical. Today in America, 1 in 3 women of reproductive age live in a state with an abortion ban. And let us understand what that really means for people across our nation. Let us understand the horrific reality that women face every single day. Since Roe was overturned, I have met a woman, for example, I've actually met more than one, who have had miscarriages in toilets because they were refused care. I have met women who went to the emergency room and who were turned away because doctors were afraid they would be thrown in jail for providing care. Just yesterday, I was in Wisconsin for the first stop of my National Fight for Reproductive Freedoms tour. And there I met a woman named Megan. Because of a law that Wisconsin passed in, get this, 1849, that extremists then used in current day to stop abortion, Megan had to go to Minnesota to leave the state she calls home to receive the care that saved her life. Across our nation, women are suffering. And let us be very clear about who is responsible. Former President Trump handpicked 3 Supreme Court justices because he intended for them to overturn Roe. He intended for them to take your freedoms. He is the architect of this healthcare crisis. And he is not done, and he is not done, and the extremists are not done. In the United States Congress, extremists are trying to pass a national abortion ban to outlaw abortion in every state. But what they need to know is that we will not allow it. The American people will not allow it. That's right. And here's some evidence of that point. Since Roe was overturned, tens of millions of Americans in red states and blue marched to the polls in defense of fundamental freedoms. The voice of the people has been heard, and it will be heard. So today, I ask the people here in Virginia, are you ready to make your voice heard? Do we trust women? Do we believe in reproductive freedoms? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? Good. And when we fight, we win. God bless you, and God bless America. And now, and with that, and yes, and absolutely 4 more years. And so getting on to how we're going to get there, let me just say we have a president who knows how to win, a president who is protecting women's access to medication and emergency care, protecting women's privacy and the right of women to travel to receive care. We have a president who has a vision for our future. A future where reproductive freedom is protected for every woman, every person in America. And we have a president who has, and this is so critically important, the compassion, as well as the determination and skill to make our vision for our country and our future real. And so now, to introduce our president, it is my honor to welcome a person of profound strength and courage, Amanda Zerwinski, who is going to join us to say a few words and share a story that it takes so much courage for anyone to share. Amanda?
Thank you, Vice President Harris. Good afternoon, Virginia. My name is Amanda Zarowski, and I live in Austin, Texas. In the spring of 2022, my husband and I learned I was pregnant. It was our first baby, a girl. Josh and I were over the moon. I had undergone grueling fertility treatment for 1.5 years, so we were thrilled to finally have a baby on the way. As difficult as it was for us to get pregnant, my first trimester was smooth sailing. But then suddenly, at 18 weeks, I suffered catastrophic complications. My cervix had dilated prematurely, and as my membranes had ruptured, there was no way to safely reverse course. We were, with 100% certainty, going to lose our baby girl. We were devastated. What I needed at that point was an abortion, so I could safely and with dignity deliver my daughter. I needed to begin the healing process, both physically and emotionally. But unfortunately, this was post-Roe Texas. The near total abortion ban had gone into effect just after my water broke. Ending the pregnancy would have been considered an illegal abortion, and my doctor would be at risk of loss of her license or even jail time. I was told to wait. I had to wait until I got so sick that my life was considered in danger. One of the rare exceptions where a doctor can intervene in Texas. It took 3 days and a near-death crash into septic shock before my doctor could finally provide the health care I desperately needed. After stabilizing my vitals enough to deliver our baby, Willow, I crashed again with another bout of sepsis and was transferred to the ICU. I was there for 3 days. My family flew in from across the country for fear that I wouldn't pull through. It was in that dark and lonely hospital room where I realized that I was actually lucky. I lived. Others wouldn't be so lucky. What I went through was nothing short of barbaric, and it didn't need to happen. But it did because of Donald Trump. Over and over again, Donald Trump brags about killing Roe v. Wade. It is unthinkable to me that anyone could cheer on these abortion bans that nearly took my life. What's more, he said that there should be some form of punishment for women who get abortions, women like me. That's why we need to re-elect President Biden and Vice President Harris. They are fighters for reproductive freedom, and they won't stop until Congress passes and President Biden signs a law restoring the protections of Roe so that people in every state have access to the care that they need. The stakes of this election could not be higher for our future and for our lives. And so with that, I am honored to introduce a real champion of our freedoms. Please welcome our President, Joe Biden.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, please. Take a seat if you have one. Hello, Virginia. And the real governor, Terry McAuliffe. My name's Joe Biden. I'm Jill Biden's husband and Kamala's running mate. Kidding aside, thank you, Kamala, for your leadership, protecting the reproductive freedom, and for so much more that you do. And thank you, Jill and Doug, for shining the spotlight on so many issues affecting women's rights, not just this one. And Amanda, thanks for the introduction. You realize how much courage it takes to do what she did? No. We give so many young women hope. Jill and I had a chance to sit down. Thank you. Well, look. Jill and I had a chance to sit down and talk with Amanda and her husband, Josh. I told you how proud we were of your courage, Amanda, standing up and speaking out on such a personal issue to help so many women. And they feel deeply. I want to thank you again, Amanda, for your absolute courage. And to all of you here today, thank you for your support defending freedom in America, because that's what we're doing. Yes. Yes. Yesterday marked the 51st anniversary of Roe v. Wade, which recognized the woman's constitutional right to choose, her right to make deeply personal. We're going to have this going to go on for a while. We got a couple more of these, I think. Folks, I believe Roe v. Wade got it right, and so do a majority of Americans, and they still do. We all know what happened a year and a half ago. The new Supreme Court made an extreme decision overturning Roe v. Wade with their Dobbs decision. Sorry it's taking so long. Folks, the Supreme Court did what it never had done before. It ripped away a fundamental constitutional right that was in place for nearly 50 years. And that was so important to so many Americans for so long. As I said on that day, the health and lives of women in this nation would be at risk and the consequences of this decision. That's exactly what happened. Today in America, women are being turned away from emergency rooms, forced to travel hundreds of miles to get basic health care, forced to go to court to plead to help, to protect themselves and the ability for them to have children in the future. The cruelty is astounding, and it's a direct affront to a woman's dignity to be told by extreme politicians and judges to wait to get sicker and sicker before anything can happen, even to the point where, as you heard, your life had been determined to be in danger. Or the idea that a woman should have to carry a fetus after she's been raped or the victim of incest. It's outrageous. It's outrageous. Or the idea A woman receives competent medical advice that the fetus she's carrying won't live and will impact on her ability to have children in the future, and she still can't get medical care. I think it's unconscionable. Did anyone think that this is where America was going in 2024? No! I could go on, but look, and let there be no mistake, the person most responsible for taking away this freedom in America is Donald Trump. Listen to what he says. Trump says he's proud that he overturned Roe v. Wade. He said, and I quote, "There has to be punishment for the women exercising their reproductive freedom." He describes the Dobbs decision as a miracle, but for American women it's a nightmare. So let's be absolutely clear what Trump is bragging about. The reason there are 21 states where abortion bans are in effect, made with no exception for rape or any other or incest, is Donald Trump. The reason women are being forced to travel out of state. This is going to go on for a while. They got this plan. The reason women are being forced to travel across state lines for health care is Donald Trump. The reason their family members are trying to get help, them are threatened with prosecution, is because of Donald Trump. And the reason their fundamental right has been stripped away is Donald Trump. And because of Donald Trump, doctors are fleeing their home states, setting up practices in other states, because they're afraid they'll be put in prison if they exercise their responsibilities. In states like Texas, doctors can get a life sentence for providing the care they were trained to provide. It's outrageous. And frankly, Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans, including the woman hollering, and frankly, Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans, including the Speaker of the House, are hell-bent on going even further. To date, MAGA Republicans in Congress have proposed 3 additional national abortion bans to criminalize health care in every state. Let me tell you what they are. First is a 0-week ban with absolutely no exceptions. The second one introduced is a 6-week ban with a penalty for violating it with jail. And the third is a 15-week ban, and the penalty is 5-year jail sentence. You know, and they're in Congress now. In the past year, Trump himself endorsed a federal ban promising to lead the charge. God love him. And that means even if you live in a state where extremist Republicans are not in charge of the state government, your right to choose, your right to privacy is still at risk. But as long as I have power of the presidency, know this: if Congress were to pass a national abortion ban, I will veto it. I will veto it. Look, MAGA Republicans are trying to limit all women in America from getting a safe and effective medication. MAGA Republicans are trying to limit all women in America from getting a safe and effective medication approved by the FDA for over 20 years now. They're trying to block women from getting this medication, even in states where women's health care choices are still protected. And if you live in a state where you cannot get care that you need and you make a plan to travel to another state to get the care you need, MAGA Republicans are trying to stop you as well. And get this, in the state of Alabama, the Attorney General is threatening to prosecute family members who help their loved ones travel to another state to get health care they need. That can't be America. That can't be America in 2024. It can't be. So let's be clear that the Dobbs decision also puts at risk the broader rights of privacy for everyone. That's because the fundamental right to privacy, which Roe v. Wade recognized, has served as a basis for so many other rights that are part of the fabric of this country. The right to make the best decisions for your health, the right to use birth control, the right to marry someone who you love. Justice Thomas wrote as much in his concurring opinion on Dobbs, that the future cases of the court, he said, should be considered, can reconsider all substantive due process precedents, from Griswold on. That's what he said. Look, please don't jump. Folks, the extreme laws passed by Dobbs have no place in the United States of America. But what does have a place is your voice. The Dobbs decision practically dared women of America to be heard. In writing, they said, women are not without electoral or political power. No kidding. I said at the time, I don't think this court and the MAGA Republicans have any clue about the power of women in America. I don't think they have any clue. But they're about to find out. Since the Dobbs decision, all over this country, from Ohio to Kansas, Michigan, Kentucky, Wisconsin, and right here in Virginia, Americans have showed up, women and men of all races, all backgrounds, voting to protect the freedom to choose. There's one other person who doesn't have a clue about the power of women in America. Donald Trump. But look, what I said is there's one other person who doesn't have a clue about the power of women in America. It's Donald Trump. But I promise you in 2024, he's going to find out about the power of you all. Watch. We need the protections of Roe v. Wade in every state. And we can do it. You can do it. Together we can do it. It's within your power to do it. So let me be crystal clear. Today is just a day to remember the anniversary of Roe v. Wade. Today is a day to call to action. With your voice, with your power, with your vote, we can restore the protections that have been around for over 50 years under Roe v. Wade. We can once again make it the law of the land in America, and we're going to do that. Are you ready to make it happen? Well, to do that, we need a new Congress. Are you ready to make that happen? Give me a Democratic House of Representatives and give me a bigger Democratic Senate. And we will pass a new law restoring the protection of Roe v. Wade, and I will sign it immediately. And let's remember, it was Donald Trump and his Supreme Court who ripped away the rights and freedoms of women in America. And it'll be Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and all of you who are going to restore those rights for the women of America. Donald Trump is betting you won't vote on this issue. But guess what? He's betting we won't hold him responsible either and taking away the rights. He's betting you're going to stop caring. By the way, that you'll get distracted and discouraged and stay home. Well, guess what? I'm betting he's wrong. I'm betting you're the one who won't forget. I'm betting you won't stop caring. That you won't get distracted. And I'm betting come November, we will vote on a record numbers. And when we do that, we'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit. Look, let me close with this. I believe 2024 is going to be the most important election we've had since 1864. I mean it. And the reasons are clear. Democracy is on the ballot. Freedom is on the ballot. Like the freedom to choose, the freedom to vote, the freedom to love who you want, the freedom to go to work, go to school, go to your house of worship without fear of being gunned down by a weapon of war. So my question to you is simple. Are you ready? Are you ready to defend democracy? Are you ready to protect our freedoms? And are you ready to win this election? Let's get this done. Talk to your families and friends. Organize your community. Register to vote. Get people to the polls. And let's remember who we are. We are the United States of America. And there's nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. May God bless you all and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you.